And we're back again. Welcome back to the channel for part two of data warehousing with Microsoft Fabric. And we're going to pick up where we left off yesterday at the time travel with T-SQL, which was the next step after transforming data with a stored procedure. So essentially the tutorial has you creating this view, right? Which is select top 10 customer key, customer, and the sum of total, including tax, as the tax total sales amount from customer and fact sale, uh, ordering by the total sales amount descending, right? So you get the greatest sale amount um, at the top and looking at the rest of them on down. So let's have a quick look at what they're talking about with time travel here and how you can go back in time over a particular um, fact, which is, or table as you would have it. So we're going to execute this. So where the sales key is 226 32918, and then we're going to pull the current timestamp. Now, if you remember the yesterday, I went through a notebook where we pulled out the deltas for a particular table. And when we looked at those deltas, we pulled out that timestamp because we didn't do the select current timestamp when we created or did that load table. So this will actually give us that timestamp back, and then we'll show you how to use it. All right, so I'm just going to copy that, head over here, do a new query, get rid of this thing about Copilot because I don't like Copilot yet. Sure it'll get better. We're putting a lot of effort into it. All right, so let's update this and then we're going to select out the current timestamp. Okay, so that's done. Should have one record affected, which is perfect. That's what we wanted. And let's go back to the tutorial. All right, so what are we going to do now? We ran that query and we get that date time value in the results pane. And then we're going to retrieve the top 10 customers from the view we made right here, top 10 customers, option timestamp for your timestamp, which will be the copied timestamp before we had that value. So we're going to do another quick SQL query and we're going to paste this in. There's our thing here. I'm going to copy the result there, come over here. Come on. So there's my timestamp, right? And it's doing its run against that view. Okay, so here's my run against that view, and we're going to see that Tailspin Toys, Mirror Michigan, and Wingtip Toys in Serversville, PA, are the top two of this particular result set. Okay, run the query. Notice that the second top customer key is 49 for Tailspin Toys, right? Modify the timestamp value to by subtracting 1 minute from the timestamp. Now, this is curious too. So we're just gonna subtract a minute from this, right? No, we're still getting Tailspin Toys. I think this has to do with when I loaded this, probably yesterday, but it does work properly. When you do it in real time and you aren't trying to do it to make sure you can do it and then record it. So if we look over here at top 10 customers, we still have that. And that was the data preview. So it doesn't look like it works, but it does. You're just going to have to try it yourself and see. And that's actually a good incentive. Try it yourself, see, know that it works, and and things will be good. So uh, if I subtract, oh, I actually didn't subtract a minute. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. If I subtract an hour. Nope, I still get Tailspin Toys. It's because I loaded this yesterday. So let's see if I subtract a date. Oh, it didn't like that. Okay. Again, I'd have to go back into the versions that are in my uh, that I can access through the shortcut in the notebook and be able to get those timestamps back out to see what's going on. Anyhow, let's get on to the next piece here. And I would definitely, the whole point of me going through these things is for you to go try them yourselves, and get comfortable with Fabric. You get a 60-day free trial. So go use your free trial. Get comfortable with it if that's a tool that you want to learn. Perhaps you're in looking for the DP700. Um, and if you are going to look towards the DP700, I haven't found a really good training course yet, but there is training material on learnmicrosoft.com, and I'll go find that link and probably put it in the next video. So there's one quick thing I want to touch on before we get into using the visual query, and you can access visual query right here, new visual query right there. And this is where you can drag and drop tables out from the tables that exist inside of your set here. But I want to show you one thing that I flubbed on yesterday, and let's get back to that real quick. So let's get back to our analyze warehouse tables notebook, and I did a bunch of fun around with this yesterday, and just messing about, taking a look. And so we went through this piece yesterday where we pulled this out and we just pulled the summary, right? And if you select a row out of there, you can get some statistics and whatnot. But in I read this into a pandas data frame yesterday, and if we want to see that again, so I would have to, because it's import PD, and then we want to say df equals df dot uh, two pandas on Spark, right? And then we have a pandas data frame that we can actually get some information back out. So I could say df pandas dot is null. Oh, not with capital. This isn't SQL. And this will actually give me a quick list of the tables that are null. But keep in mind, every time you reload a notebook, you have to start at the top, especially here where I'm loading up a data frame and df Spark. So it's going to load up that first 1,000 rows again. But keep in mind that when I pull the data frame into Pandas on Spark, well, it's only the first 1,000 rows anyway. So what you might see in this data frame summary is going to be the same thing that you see when we look down here for the sum of null values by column. And I'll show you how that looks like, because it's this particular Spark tool in and of itself, this display is available inside of Jupyter, and you can use it that way. You don't get near as rich an experience, but it's available. You can do it, right? Function has no attribute. df pandas, df pandas. Did I miss something? Because I went through and did this yesterday to make sure that it works. And there we go. So it gives you some things. Right, pandas on Spark. We'll set it for you, but it does not work. Right, Spark's already launched. So again, it goes through and it sums every column. It sums the nulls of every column. So we know down here that if we're going to do like manual data, this is manual data wrangling. If we're going to do it this way, we know that we need to figure out what we're going to put in month, year, and quarter. You can go to the delivery date key or the invoice date key. You can look at extrapolating those out to leave those on here. So from a data engineer standpoint, you're going to work with your stakeholder. You're going to work with whoever it is that you're developing the end state data for, and you're going to say, look, do you want to use these values as they should be, or do you want to fill these in? What would you like to do with these? Because you can interpolate those values and fill them in. You can get rid of those columns, right? You can do whatever you want. Anyway, so that was something I wanted to at least touch on yesterday. So the other thing I did was I went and I downloaded the actual CSV values and the CSV tables. And then if you look again at a pandas data frame, you can look at some basic stuff like the shape. How many columns wide is it, right? How many rows does it have? That sort of stuff. Um, and then just looking at it again, I'm going to read that in now. Display is still available, right? And displaying summary is still true. But again, it gives you this sale key, this unique sale key of what is that? 3,144,000 unique sale keys, and we can click on that. It gives us a histogram. I'm not entirely sure how to change this chart type over here. What I'd rather see is be able to look at things like profit and be able to break that down a little bit better. I know that there are some things here like pie charts from the deliver date key, and I think it's mostly just um, inferring all of this. So anyway, and then of course the describe history fact sale where we were looking at these particular things. I'm going to run this one more time just to see what we have from fact sale that might be affected by what's going on inside of the time travel stuff that we have sitting there. And sometimes this does take a minute. And literally, it's already up to nearly a minute. Go figure. And the light is coming through my window. Sometimes it peeks through the clouds up here in the Pacific Northwest, and sometimes it don't. Not sure why that's taking so long. All right, we're just going to abandon that because it really doesn't matter. Let's go back and look at the data warehouse tutorial while that's running. So it wants you to create a new visual query. It wants you to pull out fact sale, and it wants you to keep the top 10,000 rows, right? Keep top rows, reduce rows, keep rows from the Explorer pane. So really what this is how to use the visual tool to write a query if you don't know SQL. Sometimes this thing makes nice SQL and sometimes it doesn't. It really just depends on what it is that you're doing. See if that's finished. If not, we're just going to bail out of it because I don't. There's no point. You saw what it does yesterday. All right, so let's go back into our warehouse here, my world importers, and here's our visual query. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. So here's our visual query. It wants you to drag fact sale. Come on. Boy. Sometimes having this slower connection is a bit of a pain. All right, so it wanted us to reduce rows down to the first 10,000, right? Keep top rows, and we're going to keep 10,000. There we go. And you see how it adds that filter to the step that's going on, right? Where we kept that 10,000 rows. So now that we've kept that 10,000 rows, drag dimension city to the visual query canvas, and then we're going to combine them. So we want dimension city. And I don't know why the Explorer pane decided it wanted to do that. Let's combine merge queries as new. So that seems right. From the left table for merge drop-down list, choose dimension city on the city key. And for the right one, choose fact sale on the city key. And then we're going to choose an inner join. So left table for merge, dimension city, right table for merge, fact sale. Okay. So combine, merge queries is new. From dimension city, we want that city key. And from fact sale, we want that city key. And we want an inner join, it said. We're not using fuzzy matching, doing anything funky. So we want that inner join. And this is what it's going to do in the data preview pane. Locate the fact sale column because that actually puts out a table. So let's look at that real quick. So there's our merge, right? 2 and 1 from the source. Drag this up a little bit so that we can see it. And then from over here, it gives us this table. So then you click on this little two-way arrow. And from that little two-way arrow, we want to get rid of everything except tax amount, profit, and total including tax. Okay, so we want to get rid of everything except tax amount, profit, total including tax. So those are the 3 columns that we're pulling out of that inner join. And you can see there where it's actually created. See how long this thing takes to run. Some days things are faster than others. I think it depends. If you're on a shared capacity, then that capacity could be getting used by other people. So anyway, there's my tax amount, my profit, and my total, um, including tax. And then I want to group by. So transform, group by country, state, province, and city. So let's do that real quick. Transform, group by. Let's make sure that we get this right. Group by dropdown, set the following options. 1 for country, 2 for state, province, 3 for city. Country, state, province, city. There's our group bys. So, and then we're going to do in the new column name box, sum of tax amount. The operation is sum and tax amount. So we have a new column name, sum of tax amount. Instead of counting the rows, we're going to do a sum of tax amount. And then we're going to add another aggregation. add another one. Sum of profit. Sum of profit. Sum. Profit. And then we're going to add another aggregation, which is going to be the sum of total including tax. So there we go. Sum of total including tax. Down here, total including tax. There aren't any fuzzy groupings. We're all good. And then voila. So group by country, state, province, and city, sum of tax amount, sum of profit, sum of total including tax. We're going to hit OK, and then we're going to have a look at that. And we're going to rename it to sales summary. There we go. Yay. Okay, let's rename that to sales summary. And then we're good to go. Okay, so there's our query. And if we look down here at our queries, there is sales summary. And you can see that it's not SQL, it's the visual query builder as referenced by the little icon there. So we're good to go there. So analyze data in a notebook. Let's see what they have us doing here. Okay, so you've already seen how I've looked at data in a notebook from a more data engineering standpoint, but let's look at it from the standpoint that they want us to. So they want us to start a new notebook, and notice that this notebook is already hooked up to the warehouse because that's where we started it, right? Select the warehouse to reveal the wide world importers warehouse, and then from dimension city, we're going to select the top 100. It's going to actually create a cell there that has a SQL statement in it. So let's do that real quick. Tables. See if I can drag that out. Select top 100. It's going to create that statement, and it won't run it unless you actually choose to run the cell. We're going to run the cell. There's our result set, which looks a lot like what you get out of a SQL result set, which is totally fine. Right? Makes total sense. Now let's look at create a lakehouse shortcut, analyze data with a notebook. So open the tutorial, select new item from the list in the stored data selection, select the lakehouse and the new lakehouse. Okay, so I sort of did this a while back when I created the shortcut to look at the tables that we had in there. But we'll walk through this again real quick just to make sure that people know how to create um, shortcuts and a new lake house. So I'm going to go back to my workspace here. I'm going to add a new item and I'm going to call it create a lake house. What does it want us to call it? Shortcut exercise. Yeah, shortcut exercise. There we go. Obviously, people are doing it because it knows that it's there. All right, so there's our shortcut exercise. And as part of this, we're going to create a new shortcut that goes out to our our own one lake, and then we're going to find wide world importers and our customer dimension. Okay, so let's do that real quick. So we're going to create a new shortcut here, new shortcut wizard. We're going to look at Fabric One Lake, and did you notice back there you could create shortcuts to lots of stuff, right? Different service providers, assuming that you have login and that kind of thing. So you're understanding what's going on there. Now, keep in mind that there's change here, and if you notice this change, you notice the little delta there. And I've told you all along, and we've done the research and we've done the examples where we show you that this is actually a delta table. So it wants us to take a look at dimension customer for this particular exercise and choose next and create. And then it wants you to create a notebook and then pull out the dimension customer to analyze the first 1,000 rows. So let's do that. Let's create a new notebook. Here's our new notebook. Here's our shortcut exercise. And then create, and then it just creates that basic PySpark statement, right? Get me the first 1,000 customers and display those. So that's pretty much it for the rest of this. Now, keep in mind that Spark SQL, PySpark, all of this, I mean, the options for creating new data from your existing data, doing very complex things in order to derive new data and new bits of data is all very, very possible and not difficult at all to do. Create a cross warehouse query. Add a warehouse to the Explorer pane. We're going to create another warehouse here. Yep, so from the workspace I have, we're going to, let's see, ensure that the workspace you created in the first tutorial is open. All right, so there's my workspace. Select the warehouse that you have. So here's my warehouse. On the OneLake catalog window, select Shortcut Exercise SQL Analytics Endpoint. On the OneLake catalog window, select the Shortcut Exercise SQL Analytics Endpoint. What did I miss? Select Add Warehouse. Add Warehouse. Shortcut Exercise SQL Analytics Endpoint. In the Explorer pane, notice the Shortcut Exercise SQL app is available. Shortcut Exercise. There's my dimension customer as part of the shortcut exercise. So that's all good. Create a new query. So let's do that. Create a new query. Paste that in. If you notice, it's interjoining against shortcut exercise DBO dimension customer from this particular, from our original Wide World Importers fax sale. So that'll take a second to run. And there will be our result set still running. Why that's taking so long, but it is. All right, so we know that that's going to come back, and while we're waiting for that to come back, we're going to move on to the next step. Create a direct lake semantic model and a Power BI report. So in this task, you'll learn to create a direct lake semantic model. So I don't think I've touched on the concept of direct lake versus a data source report or any of that stuff. So direct lake is the most immediate data source for Power BI reports, and um, because that's the most immediate source, it's the fastest to render, it's fastest to deliver. Keep in mind that if you're running stored procedures to actually power the semantic models that are underneath it, it has to go all the way back to that stored procedure, refresh the semantic model, and then get the data back out. Um, and depending on your refresh numbers and your Power BI subscription level, whether you can or can't do that changes, and it's just things to think about when you consider it. So let's see if that's finished. There it is. So there's my sold quantities, there's my stock items, there's my description, as you might expect for that to all come back. Okay, hooray. So I don't think it wanted us to save that, but I'm just going to leave it. So ensure the workspace you created as first disorder is open. It is. Open the warehouse. It is. Select the reporting tab, right? On the reporting ribbon, go to new semantic model, right? So reporting, new semantic model. As it goes out and fetches the schema. So it wants us to create in the new semantic model window in the direct lake semantic model name box, sales model. So it wants us to put in sales model. We're going to do we want dimension city and fax sale. Sales model, we want dimension city, fax sale, dimension city. Mm-hmm. And we'll wait to that for that to confirm. And then we're going to open that model, right? And we're going to try and manage those relationships real quick and create some, understand some relationships. Where did it go? So open the semantic model, return to the workspace landing page, select the semantic model, sales model, semantic. So hmm, so there's my semantic model. Put it back up, and here's my model. And then now that that model's back open, we're going to do manage relationships. In the new relationships window, complete the following steps to create the relationships from the in the from table drop down list. Select dimension city in the to table, fax sale. Okay, so why can't I? Where did I miss? Am I going too fast? Nope. To create the relationships in the model designer, on the home ribbon, select manage relationships. I don't seem to be able to select manage relationships. So, no. Viewing, editing. That makes better sense. Manage relationships. Relationship. From table, mention city, to table, fax sale, one to many, single, assume referential integrity. Save that out.